Hello, everybody. It's Casey, and welcome back to the Inspire Fitness podcast. Again, I am so glad that you are here today, and we are going to have a little conversation about why it is so important for women, especially who are taking a GLP-1 medication to strength train. So, welcome to the podcast, and I'm glad that you're here today. This is not a conversation of controversy related to GLP-1 medications. I am not going to talk about why we should not take GLP-1 medications or why we should take GLP-1 medications. For the record, I am not anti GLP-1 medications. I think they can be an incredible tool for women who are struggling to lose weight, and I've seen incredible success with women using these medications appropriately. What I would like to focus the conversation on today is why it is so important for women who are taking a GLP-1 medication to strength train. Okay. And why did this come up? Well, GLPs are like freaking everywhere, right? Like so many women are taking these medications for good reason, right? For a lot of really great reasons. I heard a statistic that kind of got me thinking about this topic, and it was approximately 12% of Americans have used a GLP-1 medication. 12%. Like that's a pretty gosh darn big number, right? So they are everywhere. If you are not taking one, you probably know multiple people who have taken them or are currently taking them either prescription medication for diabetes, for obesity, or perhaps they are microdosing the GLP-1 medications. Whatever the case is, they are here and they are not going anywhere, because let me tell you, people are seeing some really great success utilizing these medications. However, again, the importance today is what we are going to talk about, the rapid weight loss and what that can do to one's lean muscle mass, especially for the population of women that I work with over the age of 40. We are fighting like hell to maintain every ounce of muscle and to build our strength and to build our muscle. So when we start to have the conversation about women who are utilizing GLP-1 medications, we need to turn that to strength training. Should be the next thing that we are talking about coming out of our mouth after we talk about using GLP-1 medications. So GLP-1 medications, we better talk about strength training. We better talk about consuming adequate protein, both things that I speak very highly of in my program, strength training and consuming adequate protein for all women, regardless of whether or not you're taking a GLP-1 medication, but in particular for those of you who are or who might be considering taking a GLP-1 medication. So essentially, GLP-1 medications primarily work by reducing our appetite. Okay, we're finding that women who take a GLP-1 medication, anyone who takes a GLP-1 medication, they either have a different type of regulation regarding their appetites. They are feeling less hunger. They are less interested in food in general. There's a lot of things going on. I'm not going to get real technical here with all of the hormonal regulation related to GLP-1 medication use, but essentially, women have a reduced appetite. Therefore, they are eating less food. Often there is a slowing of the gastric emptying component depending on the dosage that you're taking, and it's going to help you feel more full eating fewer calories. This usually leads to weight loss, right? Like it's an amazing, amazing thing. But here's the problem. Your body or somebody who's taking a GLP-1 medication does not automatically know to just lose fat, okay? Because when your calories drop, especially quickly, your body can lose fat, yes, but it can also lose water and it can also lose muscle. And for women over the age of 40, muscle loss is already happening, right? Like if we're not doing something to prevent the muscle loss because of hormonal changes, aging, lower activity levels, years of dieting without resistance training. Okay. So when we use or see a woman using a GLP-1 medication, that can just accelerate their fat loss even further. And there's no signal telling your body to keep it. Okay. But there is a signal and you can use it. And it is called strength training, lifting weights is the key component for women utilizing a GLP-1 medication to maintain their lean muscle mass. It is just strength training, okay? Strength training and protein. But the key is that strength training component. So let's talk about muscle being that safety net for women over the age of 40, because muscle isn't just about physique and looking toned, okay? Muscle keeps your metabolism higher. It helps you regulate your blood sugar better. It supports joint health. It protects your bone density. It gives your body shape and firmness, and it allows you to keep doing the things that you want to do and to maintain your independence and your functionality. Okay, things like carrying your groceries in from the car, putting things away, lifting a bag of dog food, reaching, bending, stooping, like walking up the steps, right? Like we need muscle on our body to help us continue to do these tasks as we age. So important. But when muscle is lost, guess what happens? Our metabolism slows, right? Muscle is more metabolically active. And when we lose weight and lose a component of our muscle mass, our metabolism will slow, meaning we can eat fewer calories to maintain our weight, right? We have to eat fewer calories in order to maintain our weight. Fat regain becomes more likely depending on if you're continuing on the medications long term or not. You may also find a drop in your energy. And we all know the look, right? Our body can look smaller but softer and flatter and maybe a little bit more saggy skin-ish look, right? Because there's muscle is losing there, the skin is maintaining there. There isn't a lot of shape or plumpness or toneness. So somebody who just loses weight and doesn't prioritize strength training and protein intake, they're gonna lose weight. They're gonna look smaller, but they may not always look super healthy or have a lot of shape and tone to their body, okay? And everyday tasks feel harder because they've lost that muscle and they've lost that strength. So, this is why some women lose weight on a GLP-1 medication, but they don't love how they look or feel afterwards. Yes, the scale went down, and that can be amazing, especially after somebody has struggled for years and years to make that happen, but they also lost strength and they also lost muscle, and sometimes they lose their confidence as well. So, why do we need to strength train, and why isn't like regular activity like walking or doing cardio enough? Why is that not enough? I'm not saying that you shouldn't do cardio and you shouldn't continue with your daily walking, but many women on a GLP-1 medication, they just eat less food. And sometimes they move less. And even if they're walking more, a lot of times they're just afraid to get started with strength training. They've never done it before. Walking, yes, that's a fantastic activity for overall health. So is any kind of general movement, right? But walking alone does not provide enough resistance and stimulus to preserve the muscles, especially when we're in a calorie deficit. Okay, strength training sends that specific message to your body. We still need this muscle. We got to keep it. We need to protect it, right? And after 40, your muscle is anything but optional. Trust me, you do not want to see it go bye bye. Protein matters more, not less, on a GLP-1 medication. So if somebody is taking a GLP-1 medication and thinking, I don't even have to look at macros, talk about macros, think about protein again anymore, oh, they are wrong. They are wrong. This is one of the biggest mistakes that women can make is they just think I don't have to think about it anymore because all of a sudden I'm just eating less. Or they may think I'm eating less, so I don't need to even eat more protein. But the opposite is true because when we are consuming fewer calories than what our body needs, protein becomes so much more important. And your muscle preservation actually depends on it, and your recovery from your workout requires it. Okay. So if you have a low appetite because you're taking a GLP-1 medication, often means you're going to have lower protein intake. And if you're not strength training, this is the perfect storm, unfortunately, for you losing muscle. Even if weight loss is happening, if you're on a GLP-1 medication, protein should be intentional and it should be planned, And just like the rest of us who are trying to lose weight, it should be prioritized at every single meal. It should not, by any means, be an afterthought. So protein is so important. What smart strength training looks like for a woman who is on a GLP-1 medication, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to train harder or longer than maybe you were prior to starting a medication. Or if you have never strength trained before, it doesn't mean that this has to become a huge time sucker in your life, right? It means training smarter. And for most women who are over the age of 40 who are taking a GLP-1 medication, that looks like 2 to 4 days a week of strength training. Yes, you can get what you need in just 2 days a week with strength training if you're programming it perfectly, or not perfectly, if you're programming it well, I should say. If you're doing like an upper body and a lower body split and incorporating maybe one full body workout into your training week, meaning you're training 3 days a week, that's enough. Like it doesn't have to be every single day and it doesn't have to be 1 to 2 hours a day. Like you can literally get the strength training done if it's programmed correctly in 30 to 45 minutes 3 times a week. Okay. If you're emphasizing compound movements, things like squats, and hinges in the RDL, presses, and rows. By the way, these are all the key components in the Inspire Fitness program that we utilize in order to make our workouts effective and efficient. So compound movements, working multiple muscle groups in one type of exercise, that's the ticket, right? And progressive overload, meaning you are progressing in either your weights or your repetitions over time. Okay. So if you start strength training, good for you. I'm so excited about that. If you're still using those same weights 3 to 6 to 8 months later, guess what? That is not progressive overload. You need to push your body to an extent, a comfortable extent, a little out of that comfort zone in order to make it the most effective. And you need to provide for adequate recovery. And this becomes even more important for women who are taking a GLP-1 medication because their calories are less than typically what their body requires. So they're eating in a calorie deficit, meaning your recovery process is not optimized, right? It's not just about burning the calories in the workout. We gotta let that go, okay? You gotta stop freaking out at the Apple Watch that tells you I burned X number of calories doing my cardio workout and I only burned this many doing my strength training workout. They are not equivalent. They are not even in the same ballpark, okay? Yes, you need a good balance of both. I would ideally recommend you do some cardio, but you prioritize strength training. But comparing calories spent in each type of workout isn't even, you're comparing apples to oranges. It's not even accurate, okay? So stop doing that. It is about protecting the body that you're building, even if that building is getting a little bit smaller. Weight loss is happening, okay? So the goal should not be for a woman who starts a GLP-1 medication to just see the scale to go down, okay? We need to reframe this and we need to start talking about the importance of this. The goal isn't just to lose weight. The goal is to lose fat while keeping the muscle that makes you feel strong and energized and confident. And GLP-1s can absolutely help with appetite. Yes, they will help you cut your food cravings. They will quiet that food noise. They will make you feel more full on the same amount or less food, but they cannot replace strength training and they cannot replace protein intake and they cannot replace intentional movement and long-term habits that you need to build in order for this to be sustainable, in order for you to have optimal health when this happens, right? Like typically the goal when we have a lot of weight to lose is let's get healthy, right? Let's shed this weight. Number one, we want to feel and look better, but we also want to get healthy, right? And if you're not doing it in the right way, that isn't going to happen. Okay? The real sustainable change comes from the combination of all of these things. All of these things. So, if the scale goes down, but you feel weaker and your energy is lower and your body actually feels softer and saggier, like, and maintaining those results feels very fragile because you worry like the second I go off of this medication, I'm going to go right back to where I was. Like, okay, that's not failure, but that is feedback and that your body is telling you that you need to make some changes. This usually means we need to prioritize getting some of that muscle and that strength back. And how does that happen? Guess what? Strength training and eating the protein, right? So those were the missing pieces from the plan. If that is how the GLP-1 progression ended for you, okay? But that doesn't have to be the end, right? Like you deserve results that last, and you deserve a body that feels as strong as it looks, okay? So GLP-1 medications are not going away. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, approximately 12% of Americans have used a GLP-1 medication. Actually, 1 in 5 women between the age of 50 and 64 have also used a GLP-1 medication. So these medications are common. They are not going away. They are incredibly effective. So we are going to continue to see them being utilized. We need to make strength training almost an automatic with these medications, because otherwise the results are not so great. Okay. Women in their age group of 50 to 64 are already at risk for losing muscle. They are already at risk for losing bone density, and not strength training and eating a calorie deficit for a prolonged period of time and seeing rapid weight loss, that is just a recipe for disaster. It's like a dumpster fire and you're throwing gasoline on it, right? So, if you are somebody who's taking a GLP-1 medication, if you have a friend or a family member who is taking a GLP-1 medication, speak to them kindly and try to educate them on the importance of what they're taking into their body and what kind of exercise they're doing, because their results are going to be so much better, so much more sustainable, and so much more healthy for them as long as they continue working in those things. So, strength training and protein, so incredibly important. Hey, guess what? I've got a program that offers strength training, and I welcome you. We prioritize strength training in a progressive overload manner. And you can do this from home, and it only takes you 30 to 40 minutes, 3 times a week. Yes, you need to work in some walking, and yes, I will encourage you to get some cardio in. So it's not just 3 workouts a week, but strength training wise, prioritizing strength training, hitting those, getting those in 2 to 3 times a week, your results are going to be so much better. So if you're a woman taking a GLP-1 medication and you're like, oh, okay, Casey, I've heard it, I know it, I need to do it. Either I'm not sure where to start, or I just don't know what to do when I get into holding those weights, I welcome you. Reach out to me, send me a message. Just say, let's go, I'm ready. And I will gladly get you started. I will walk you through it. I will give you a schedule to follow. I will give you guided videos that you just have to push play and show up and do. But one way or another, you have to think about prioritizing strength training. And those of you who are already doing it, good for you. You know the exact benefits that I'm talking about. You are the women who are leading the way as far as this is normal. This is the standard. This is just what we do. We are not going to sit back and watch our bodies get smaller and weaker and less independent as we age. It's not happening on my watch. Okay. So if you don't want that to happen, please start lifting. And if I can be of assistance, I would love to help get you started. Please reach out to me on my socials, bit.nutritionist on Instagram, as well as TikTok. You can find me on Facebook at Casey Young RDCPT, and you can reach out to me on my website anytime, inspirehw.com. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Go crush it, and we'll see you next time.